Good afternoon. I will call to order the Planning Commission meeting for New Ulm. It is 4:30 Thursday, July 29th, 2021. First order of business is the approval of the June 24th meeting minutes.
I'll offer a motion to approve.
Second.
Any changes? We have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, minutes are approved. Public hearing is open for the consideration of application of Mike and Sheila Hauk on behalf of Winninger Travels Incorporated and John Gog on behalf of JMG Rentals Incorporated property owner, requesting a conditional use permit to allow the operation of Winninger Travel in a portion of the existing building on the property legally described as of lots 4 through 7, block 13, south of Center Street. The street address is 1314 South Front Street. City report.
Okay, this building is generally located west to south Front Street and south of 13 South Street. Deadline for a decision on this matter is September 10th, 2021. The land use designation for the property in our comprehensive plan is business. Business designation exists to the north, industry to the west, low-density residential to the south and east, and also to the east we have floodplain. The zoning designation for the property is I-2, which is a general industrial district. We have I-2 designation to the northwest, R2 to the south, which is single and two-family residence district, and to the east we have R1, which is a single-family residence district, and RA, which is an agricultural residence district. The current site use is we have a storage building, and then we have open space on the property, and the open space is used for parking and for storage purposes. Other area land uses, to the north we have storage buildings. To the west we have storage buildings. We have the food shelf, and the Humane Society also have buildings in that location. To the south we have single-family dwellings, some accessory buildings, and the flood levee, and then open space. And to the east we have a single-family dwelling, accessory buildings, the flood levee, and open space. Notice was provided to all property owners within 350 feet of the subject property, and it was published in the New Ulm Journal on July 17th, 2021. Public comments. Did receive one phone call from an area property owner who noted the following. One, considered the alley to be in poor condition and having kind of a spongy feel. And he thought heavy traffic could make that worse. Secondly, he was concerned about turning movements from and into the alley. Could be difficult due to the location of power poles, and I assume this is with regards to a bus making those kind of movements. And thirdly, he hoped that grass adjoining the alley would not be damaged by vehicles using the alley. Apparently, when the facility was used by the school, sometimes student drivers would get onto the grass on the adjoining property. Would note that we did talk to Street Commissioner Jeff Huffman about the concerns on the condition of the alley and the fact that it could be used for 15 trips, more or less, per year. And he was not concerned with that kind of impact. Continuing with the project description, the subject property has been zoned industrial since September 1963. It was zoned I-1, which is Planned Industrial District, on October 1st, 1968, and it was rezoned to I-2 on October 21st, 1975. So the property's been zoned industrial for us long period of time. The I-2 zoning district is intended to provide a district that will allow general industrial uses which, due to their size and nature, would not conform to the planned industrial district. A travel office is not a permitted use in the I-2 zoning district. I would note that the applicant is proposing to use the remainder of the building for storage purposes and also possibly to do some additional storage buildings on that property. And a storage use is a permitted activity in that zoning district. Permitted conditional uses in the I-2 zoning district include the following. There are 4 of them. A is any manufacturing, production, processing, cleaning, storage, servicing, repair, and testing of materials, goods, or products similar to those listed as permitted uses in this section and which conform with the standard or performance standards set forth for this district. B, extraction, processing, or storage of sand, gravel, stone, or other raw material. C, retail and service establishments essential to the operation of an I-2 general industrial district. And D, junkyards provided they are screened from view of all persons on all properties located within 600 feet. So immediately we can kind of remove from consideration items B and D because they do not apply to this situation. The property dimensions are 200 by 165 feet. That's 33,000 square feet or 0.76 acres. The building located on the property has approximate dimensions of 40 by 120, and that results in a total building square footage of 4,800. Required findings. In order to recommend approval of the permit, the commission will need to determine that, number 1, the proposed use complies with one or more of the permitted conditional uses that were identified previously. So that's either items A or C, or both. The zoning district does not provide any further criteria, direction, or explanation on how to evaluate items A and C listed under permitted conditional uses. There also are similar uses in the I-2 zoning district that staff feels are equivalent to this, and those would I think you should look at these from the standpoint that there are office uses associated with them, or there is a similar type of traffic that you would find. And that would be breweries. The second would be contractors' offices, shops, and yards for plumbing, heating, glazing, painting, paper hanging, roofing, ventilating, air conditioning, masonry, electrical, and refrigeration. 3 would be garages for storage, repair, and servicing of motor vehicles. 4 would be lumber yards and storage facilities. And 5 would be public service structures, including police or fire stations. All of these permitted land use would likely have similar or greater amount of business activity and customer traffic than the proposed use. An office would be considered an acceptable accessory use with many of the I-2 permitted uses. I mean, that's normally a component of even industrial uses. Land uses permitted in the surrounding I-2 zone or found in the surrounding I-2 zone would not adversely impact office customers and employees in staff's opinion. The second item that you need to find is that the request complies with the conditions required for the granting of a conditional use permit. And those are found in section 9.82 subdivision 2. The reverse side of the application lists the 7 conditions. Wenninger Travel in their application provided a separate sheet providing responses to those 7 conditions. And then there was an 8th condition or question which asks why should the city approve your request, and their response was as follows. Wenninger Travel is not a retail industry and it is not a travel agency and only offers group travel, which is a service industry. We do not offer individual travel plans for walk-in customers. It is our long-term plan to construct a condo storage facility on the property and have the offices for both companies out of the building and work out of the building. Since Winninger Travel is not a retail industry, our only option to stay in Lindholm is to acquire commercial property and request a conditional use permit. Okay, there are 5 attachments. Attachment 1 is the application. Attachment 2 is the site location map. Attachment 3 is the zoning map. Attachment 4 is a site map. And attachment 5 are ground level photographs of the property. And we did take some photographs, from both the front of the building and then in the alley area as well. Staff recommendation. Staff would recommend approval of the request for the following reason. The request complies with conditions required for the granting of a conditional use permit. Those are found in section 9.82 of the city code. 2, the proposed land use complies with sections A and C or parts of sections A and C of the permitted conditional uses. 3, the proposed use is of the same general character as some of the permitted uses in the I-2 zone. 4, the business is compatible with surrounding land uses. 5, the primary intended use of the site is storage. The travel office would occupy a small portion of the project site. And 6, the site is an appropriate location for this type of business. The size of the building is 4,800 square feet. In previous discussions with the applicant, they indicated that about 1,000 square feet of the area would be used for offices, and that would include offices for the storage part of the business operation as well as the travel office.
Is that 2 offices or 1 office?
It would be 1 office performing 2 functions.
Thank you.
Okay, conditions. Number 1, the applicant will pay the cost to record the permit with the Brown County Recorder's Office. 2, there will be no exterior storage located outside of the building. 3, the business will not permit business or customer traffic on South Front and 13 South Streets and in the alley in Block 13 south of Center Street. 4, the hours of operation for the business will be 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Friday and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, or other appropriate hours. I should note that the hours of operation that are identified there are the ones that we have in the city code when it comes to noise items. And so that's why we use those. You may find that there would be other appropriate hours for this type of use. And then 5, that the business will not conduct more than 25 trips per year from this location. Again, that's a number that we proposed. Again, that can be adjusted either way. And then 6, the business will not offer individual travel services for walk-in customers at this location. Potential motions, you have a motion to approve with conditions and then a motion to deny. And that will complete the staff report.
Okay. I have a question, because you said that the city engineer or someone from the street department had gone down there and looked at the alley and the conditions of the alley. Would you tell me again what they said?
We had talked with Jeff Huffman. He's the department head for the street department, and he didn't see any concern over either leaving that alley or entering that alley with buses. And he particularly wasn't concerned with that many trips through the alley in a given year. He thought, in fact, that alley might be slightly wider than the one to the north and might accommodate it just a little bit better.
Okay. Because I drove down there, and I tend to agree. It seemed like the alley was almost reinforced in front of what would have been the I don't know whose storage unit it is. I'm going to say it's food shelf because it looks like they have a short dock there or a dock for semi-unloading and the Humane Society also, I'm assuming that's their storage behind. But after I left that portion of the alley, it became like the person that called in, kind of a wonky alley. And of course, being the kind of person and driver that I am, I thought, well, I'll just keep going on. And you can't go out the other end of the alley because you end up on the berm. So I'm concerned about people. I'm assuming they want people to come in and park their cars there while they're going, so they have a secure area for travelers to park their car in the lot, which needs a lot of work. But is somebody going to put up a block? Because you end up on the berm, which people are driving on, but shouldn't be. You know, or because there's a pathway there. So my concern is,
Okay, 14 South Street is in fact a gravel street. And so someone can access this property from 14 South as well as from 13 South.
I'm not talking about 14 South, though. I was continuing south on the alley up behind. Hi, Elwood.
Hi. Were you on the street by the houses?
No, I was in the alley.
Okay, the alley continues through.
Yeah, but it turns to grass and berm.
No, that's on Front Street, where it turns to the berm. The alley continues south, all the way south.
Oh, yeah,
down.
okay, but I was on the front,
On the
then I
front
was
street
on
side.
the front street.
Yeah, and 14th kind of goes through there. It's not.
So is
improved
anybody
or-
going to block that off, or is that going to be not entranceable?
That one I don't know. I mean, that's on Front Street. I wouldn't think they'd be coming up there. I mean,
That's how I went in.
yeah, but I mean, the
Yeah.
berm is there. I mean, again, I mean, we can talk with them and see if that's something
Yeah.
of a condition or something.
I just don't want to start getting calls because people are leaving and then they're driving on that.
So I actually have.
Excuse
sorry,
me,
I
would
don't
you
have enough
say
of-
your name and
Michael
address, please?
Hauk.
Okay, and your
I'm the one
address?
that's asking for the conditional use.
Your address, please?
1442 8th Street North.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually have packets. Sorry, I didn't get it to Dave in time. If you guys want to see what we have planned for it.
Okay,
I only have 5 of them, sorry.
that's fine.
Pass them out.
What we can do is display them.
For me?
Over. Here, yeah, give them back.
So I was going to start with the front one. Just to show 'em. Okay.
While he's setting that up, I do want to mention that this parking lot in the photo that were supplied on page 9 of the 13, looks much better than the parking lot actually looks right now. If you've been down, it's very overgrown and pretty wonky. I did not, as daring as I am, drive into it. My husband said not in the low car. If you take the four-wheel drive, you're fine.
Well, I drove on it, so it's
Yeah.
it's pretty solid.
I actually drive on it on my golf cart and it goes just fine.
Golf cart's probably easier to repair than my little low slung car. But it's a good spot, you know, it's a nice location.
Can I just start going
Yeah,
through?
why don't
Yes,
you
if you're ready.
Okay. So the first page is just basically what the building looks like now, and then the second page is what we propose to do to the building. So as you can see, the center section where that middle door was, we're gonna take that middle door out and put an awning there and an entrance for the office. And then that third page sort of shows you,
I might note that it's on the screen over
Okay, thank you.
Sort of shows you that where Front Street is, and what we plan on doing is putting a retaining wall on that end of the building, and then people would be able to park there. You wouldn't need a cutout there, cause it's all gravel anyways, but if there were a street there, the cutout would be, where that entranceway is, and that's where we would come in. And actually, we would either come in on Front Street, or we could come in through the alley on either side with a bus. And then people would park down in those areas, and then that big open space that's in the middle there.
So you did say that you hope to come in on Front Street.
We could come in on Front, or we could come in through the alley. Either way, they're all big enough for the bus to come through. Either on 14th there, the other way through the alley behind all the other storage units, or come up on Front Street. And there's like no houses on the other side of this building. That house is down by the trucking that's next door to it,
That's right.
so. And then that would just be a future site for the condo storage that we would put in. And then the last picture is just like an overview of the whole thing.
Okay.
And so, yes, where you were talking with Front Street, it does end, and there's nothing on the end of that.
Yeah.
So no, people wouldn't be driving past, there's nothing to drive there.
Oh, well, no, don't say that, because I was down there. I was driving.
Well, we could put up a sign, don't go past
Well, it would be
this.
nice if,
Or the city
if
could.
part of that was blocked off or something, so.
Yeah,
That was my concern, because people, there's, it ends kind of at the berm there on Front Street.
yeah, because the berm light comes across, and then that city property next to it.
And there's definitely tracks on that. I'm assuming, though, that they were legal city vehicles that drove there. Okay,
I guess this is something we can review with the city engineer.
yeah, that would be my only concern. Does anyone else have any questions
For Mike, but I guess for staff, if he wants to come back for garage condos, is he gonna have to come back for zoning on here at all, if it's gonna be,
Depends how he sets it up.
okay.
Possibly, he would have to, he'd have to plat it, and depending upon variances with the, how he locates it, variances might be necessary too.
Okay.
But it is zoned for storage units, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashley?
So basically, it would be like, one of them would be like the Abbott storage, and then one of them would be a taller one, where people could put campers and boats and stuff like that
Sure.
in. Is what we would be looking at.
I had a question on the 25 trips. How did you feel about that?
Okay, so right now, I don't think we could actually do 25 trips because it's so many, and we don't plan on, one of the big selling points of our business is the service that they get with Sheila or I doing the trip. And so 25 would be impossible unless we like hired more people to do that. So I wouldn't say like in the future that's out of the question, but I don't see that ever happening. 16 is like,
Your sweet spot.
that's way a lot, very busy year. Like we're never home.
So if they did hire more staff and wanted to do 25, they would just come back and
They'd have
ask
to
for it.
amend the permit.
And
Now,
then,
a lot of our trips don't always necessarily start out in New Ulm, so like, we have trips that go overseas, that sometimes people meet there, but most of the time, we pick them up at different locations and then bring them to the airport, and same with our other trips. So like, the one she's on now, actually started in New Prague, and then Hutch and stuff, so we didn't actually have anyone in New Ulm on that one. And then it's not like the total bus, so you can fit like, we try to keep it under 50 on a bus, but it's not everybody on that bus that's gonna be parking there. Normally, it's, I think at the most about 20 that would be on a trip. And so we would have like 10 cars there,
okay.
because it'd be like, whatever, so.
And then my other question, were the hours listed, does that hinder you, like, do your buses
Yes,
ever come back
that I was
late?
going to bring up. So we don't actually come back later than that, but sometimes we leave at like 6 in the morning.
Okay.
But without any residents right next to there, and if we came in on the side, I don't see where that would be a problem. The bus is not, they're all brand-new buses. We don't use anything that's over 2 or 3 years old. So they're not like a big,
Loud.
loud, giant vehicle coming in. Because they actually park up by our house the night before we leave, and none of our neighbors have ever said anything about it being loud or,
Be careful what you say.
I know.
So are we able to say that it's 6 a.m. versus 7 a.m. for these hours that we have listed in the recommendations? Or what do you need us to?
Right.
I guess it's whether or not the bus generates sufficient noise that generates a complaint, then,
I
you
don't
know.
necessarily think it's the bus always either. It could be a nice summer morning with everyone's windows open and people being excited about their trip, unloading their car and stuff, but at 6 in the morning, who's that giddy? I don't know, so.
The bus also would be parked on the side of the building where we propose to put that awning, because that's where their luggage would be that we're loading on the bus.
If I recall, there's just one house within that.
There's one house that's sort of
behind on
located like,
Front Street,
yeah, you can sort of see like where,
yeah,
that trucking company is next to it.
right.
It's
That's
like sort of kitty corner from there, like right off of 13th.
right off of 13th,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Does the last part of condition 4 kind of cover things like it says 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday or other appropriate hours? Can we say that that would maybe fall under appropriate hours if it's happening once in a great while and like you
Yeah,
say on the
it's
side
not
of
like
the
it's a lot of
building?
trips.
It's not like it's 2 in the morning, we're talking
Right.
6 in the morning.
Yeah, I guess we could say that, the hours of operation of the business will generally be.
Okay.
Because there could be a rare travel occasion with a flight coming in late and the
Yeah.
bus is gonna,
Yeah,
You know.
I'd love to be able to get them back to their vehicles to go home.
Well, you
Correct,
can't
but
always predict.
you can't predict the
airplane.
travel.
Right.
So I think if we can
Yeah.
Or a
accommodate
bus
it,
breaks down, or,
yeah.
yeah,
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 if
weather.
we
We
could-
try not to do a lot of trips in the winter, unless they're fly trips.
okay. Michelle, Dave?
Mike, regarding the concern of the one person that called in about running over the grass, you obviously see there's space between the alley and the garage doors there as kind of a dirt driveway. Considering that space available, do you see that as an issue? Are your buses so large that you couldn't swing that turn without running
Our
over the?
buses are, they're large, don't get me wrong, they're big coach buses,
Right.
but they also have turn wheels in the back.
Right.
So we can go through like New England states where the roads are all wonky and we're not hitting anything.
So you're not concerned about having to run over the grass across the alley? Okay, okay.
I think it would be a great use of the facility.
I do
And
too.
for a good mixed use, so, for adapting it.
My only concern was driving out and turning right instead of left on Front Street. That was, and there was a pole there, but it didn't look like you were putting your opening to the gate or the gateway near that pole, so.
Well, maybe if we could, like I say, if staff is gonna talk to the street
Yeah.
department and city engineer about signage and get that, because we'll probably have an influx of traffic down the line, so.
It's a good location. I will entertain a motion. There were 2 listed.
I would make the motion for approval with the amended conditions on the hours and a signage from the street department. Discussing signage with the street department.
I would second that.
Are there any questions, concerns, to further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, when does this appear before the city council?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, next week? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Mike,
Could you leave one of those behind for us?
Next item on the agenda is a consideration of the application of John Gogg on behalf of JMG Rentals Incorporated, requesting a conditional use permit to allow the retail sale of appliances, plumbing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, roofing, and other similar products and materials on property zoned I-1 Planned Industrial District and legally described as lots 8 through 14, Block 205 north of Center Street, lots 8 through 14, Block 206 north of Center Street, and vacated 16th North Street. The street address is 1500 North Front Street. City?
Okay, the building on this property is generally located between 17th and 19th North Street and east of North Front Street. Deadline for decision on this matter is August 27th, 2021. The land use designation for the property in the comp plan is industry. Industry is the land use designation that surrounds the property. In addition, on the east side, there is floodplain. The property is zoned I-1, which is a planned industrial district. I-1 zoning is also found on all four sides, and in addition, there is an RA zoning classification to the east. The building is currently occupied by GOG Sheet Metal. There are parking lots and open space on the site as well. Current area land uses to the north is Chemstone, which is an aggregate and ready-mix company, so they make concrete. To the west is the 3M company. To the south is GOG Sheet Metal. And to the east are temporary grain storage facilities. Notice was provided to all property owners within 350 feet of the subject property and published in the New Ulm Journal on July 17, 2021. There have been no public comments provided to date. Some of the information in the project description is going to be the same as you just previously heard. So the zoning of the property was done in October of 1968, but it has been zoned industrial since September 1963. The I-1 zoning district is intended for industrial areas which may be in close proximity to existing or anticipated residential concentrations to achieve compatibility with abutting residential districts, development in the planned industrial district. There are 4 standards, is limited to administrative, wholesaling, manufacturing, and related uses that can be carried on in an unobtrusive manner, is limited to a low concentration or activity, must provide suitable open spaces, landscaping, and parking areas, and must establish and maintain a high standard of appearance and external effects. And external effects are things such as noise, smoke, etc. Those are to be limited. Retail sales are not a permitted use in the I-1 zoning district. Permitted conditional uses in the I-1 zoning district include the following, and they differ from those that were listed in the I-2. So A is, again, this is another one that's similar to the I-2, any manufacturing, production, processing, cleaning, storage, servicing, repair, and testing of materials, goods, or products, similar to those listed as permitted uses in this section, and which conform with the performance standards set forth for this district. And B, this is also found in the I-2, that it's retail and service establishments essential for the operation of an I-1 planned industrial district and providing goods and services which are primarily for the use of persons employed in the district. The property dimensions are 165 by 780. Total land area is 128,700 square feet or 2.95 acres. The building located on the property has approximate dimensions of 100 by 340. Total building square footage is 35,510 square feet. I have some additional information that I would like to share with you about this proposed request that we received after the agenda had been prepared. And that is that the proposed retail sales area is going to be approximately 2,000 square feet, which is 6% of the building space. They'll have office space in the building. That'll be 4,000 square feet. That's 12%. A sheet metal fabrication area will be 6,000 square feet, so that's 17%. And then 23,510 square feet will be for warehouse, and that's 65% of the building area. They expect to employ 20 to 25 people working in the building at any given time. The balance of the employees would park there and then deploy to job sites. Existing employees would deal with retail sales, so they would not hire anybody special just to do retail sales. They will have designated customer parking spaces. The south parking lot is adequate to handle the office parking and the customers, and the north parking lot would be for field employees. They expect to have less than 20 retail customers per week. So, continuing with the staff report, in order to recommend approval of the permit in staff's opinion, the commission will need to determine, one, that the proposed use complies with one of the permitted conditional uses identified above. Again, the zoning ordinance does not provide further criteria and direction or explanation on how to evaluate those. In the I-1 zoning district, there are land uses that are similar to this. We allow the sale of building materials, and there are also storage facilities. We have electrical service shops. We have laundries. We have public utility structures and municipal and governmental buildings. And we have wholesale business and office establishments. All of these types of uses can have customer traffic or service traffic that is using them. And in staff's opinion, these land uses would likely have similar or greater amounts of building use or customer traffic. And the land uses permitted in the surrounding I-1 zoning district would not adversely impact any retail customers, staff's opinion. Then secondly, the request complies with the conditions, must comply with the conditions required for the granting of a conditional use permit. Again, that's found in section 9.82. The reverse side of the application lists the 7 conditions and the applicant's response to them. And then there's an 8th question, why should the city approve your request? And the applicant's response was to allow GSM to increase the number of jobs it is providing in New Ulm, and because our minimal change in building use will not harm the city or our neighbors. We have 5 attachments. Attachment 1 is the application. Attachment 2 is the site location map. Attachment 3 is the zoning map. Attachment 4 is the site map. And attachment 5 is ground level photographs of the property. Staff would recommend approval of the request for the following reasons. 1, the request complies with the conditions required for the granting of a conditional use permit. 2, the proposed land use complies with sections A and B of the permitted conditional uses. 3, the proposed use is of the same general character as some of the permitted uses in the I-1 zone. 4, the business use is compatible with the surrounding land uses. 5, the primary use of the property involves plumbing, drain cleaning, heating and air conditioning, flat roofing, and sheet metal. The retail sales portion of the property is fairly small. And then 6, the site is an appropriate location for this type of business. We have 5 conditions that we would recommend. 1 is the applicant will pay the cost to record the permit with the Brown County Recorder's Office. 2, there will be no exterior storage located outside of the building. 3, there will be no retail sales conducted outside of the building. 4, the owner will provide convenient customer parking. And 5, the owner will discourage parking on North Front Street. Then there are 2 motions, 1 to approve with conditions and 1 to deny. That concludes the staff report.
Again, I took my little drive down there. They were grilling in the parking lot and didn't offer me anything. However, I think it's a beautiful building. I think it's a wonderful use for that building. It has all of the drive out and entrances for the industrial part of it to the rear, which is completely away from the customer area and the parking, except for they must own the adjacent property also because they had truck storage and stuff. That was gated off, so I'm assuming that in and out of that part of it isn't going to interfere with, and the trucks aren't that large anyway, I don't think, going into that property. But does anyone have questions for concerns?
I have a question for you, John. Are you okay if they say no retail sales conducted on the outside of the property? You know, you have a, sure,
Yes, please.
if you want to step up to the mic and state your name and address for the record.
Yeah.
John Gogg, 301 North Front Street, New Ulm, Minnesota. Our intent would be interior showroom, I guess. I think we'd like to maybe have cooking demonstrations with the green egg occasionally. And of course, then invite people inside to, it's hard to grill inside. Have people come inside maybe and buy a grill or accessories. But yeah, no intent of outside sales.
Well, I seen the tent outside. I didn't know
Yeah.
if things would be wheeled outside or something, you know,
Well, if
and maybe we could state that, you know, seasonally or something, or
Well,
occasionally.
that would be
and
a
to
good
word it
question.
properly here, you know.
We have
'cause-
an annual scratch and dent sale. I mean,
Yeah.
is that within the use?
Well, it's not in the guidelines right now, so
Okay.
that would need to be added.
That's why I'm just looking for the recommendations here that we can ask staff, because I don't want you to get committed that
No,
all of
yeah.
a sudden, you know.
Because the tent is there now, in the guidelines now, it says you can't put the tent there, so.
Right. And it's not something we've ever done before, but
Right.
it seems like an option we would certainly like.
And you have the space,
Oh, sure.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point,
you know,
because,
maybe we
could
could,
say,
Okay.
retail sales will generally be conducted inside the building.
that works.
yeah, that works.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, super. Perfect.
That was my only concern from just
That
reading
was,
the conditions
it
there.
was a concern of mine too, because I saw them out there and I knew it didn't fit in. I'm glad you asked the question,
Yep.
even though you didn't offer me anything, do you?
I wasn't there, but I certainly, I will chastise them when I get
Really,
there tomorrow.
it did really smelled good. Okay, are there any other questions? John, while he's here. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no further questions, I'd entertain a motion. We have two recommended.
I'll offer a motion to recommend approval with conditions, the application of John Gogg on behalf of JMG Rentals Incorporated for conditional use permit to allow the retail sales of appliance, plumbing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, roofing, and other similar products and materials on property zoned I-1 Planned Industrial District and legally described as lots 8 through 14, Block 205, north of Center Street, Lot 8 through 14, Block 206, north of Center Street, and vacated 16th North Street, abutting the same.
Thank you. Is there a second to this motion?
Can I ask also, does part of your motion include amending the condition about saying that sales will generally happen inside?
Yes.
All right, I will second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I'm assuming then this appears at the city council meeting next week?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a consideration of the application of Dr. Roger and Joan Lindholm requesting a variance from the city code to allow an accessory structure to be located 2 feet from the future rear property line of 1729 Oak Avenue and allow an accessory structure to be located 3 feet from the future side property line on property at 1727 Oak Avenue. A new property line is being proposed between the two buildings requesting the need for the variance.
So the applicant here is Dr. Roger and Joan Lindholm. They are also the property owners. The legal description for this variance is Lot 1, Block 1, Maha's Second Edition. Street address is 1727 Oakwood Avenue, and then 1729 Oakwood Avenue. The property is generally located southeast of the intersection of Betker Road and Oakwood Avenue. Deadline for the decision on this application is September 11th, 2021. Comprehensive plan designates the land use in this area to be low-density residential. Surrounding land uses include low-density residential to the north, south, and west, and then park and open space to the east. The zoning designation for this property is R1, the single-family zoning district. Surrounding zoning includes R1 to the north, south, and west, and then RA, the agricultural residence district, to the east. Current site use is a single-family residence. Current area uses are residential to the north, south, east, and west. Public notice was published in the Journal on July 17th, 2021, and to date we have not received any comments on this application. To describe the project, the property owner is proposing to locate a new property line between two existing detached garages located on the property addressed at 1727 Oakwood Avenue. The property line is being proposed in this location for the purpose of selling a small piece of property to the owner located at 1729 Oakwood Avenue that would contain a 14 by 20 detached garage. By placing the proposed new property line between the buildings at this location, there is no option to meet either the side yard setback for 1727 Oakwood Avenue or the rear yard setback for 1729 Oakwood Avenue. The proposed new property line at this location can be viewed on attachment 4, Maha's 3rd edition. So to be clear, there is only 5 feet between these two detached garages. So when they put the property line between those two garages, there's no way to meet either the side or rear yard property line setbacks.
So which property are both of these garages on currently, or is the line run through them?
No, they're currently both on 1727 Oakwood Avenue, owned by the Lindholms.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a different property owner on Lot 1. The Lindholms are on Lot 2.
Oh. So Section 9.06, Subdivision 5C of the City Code requires that there should be a side yard on each side of a building, each yard having a width of not less than 10 feet. So the side yard setback requirement for 1727 Oakwood would be 10 feet, and they are asking to be only 3 feet from that property line. Section 9.14, Subdivision 3G2 of the City Code requires that no detached accessory structure shall be located within 10 feet of any rear lot line, and the rear yard, so therefore the rear yard setback for 1729 Oakwood would be 10 feet. They're asking to be 2 feet from that property line. The applicant has stated that this variance will not result in any new buildings being constructed or moved onto either property. Should be noted that there is a large ravine to the west of both of these properties. The ravine does limit the buildable area for the property owner that is located at 1729 Oakwood Avenue. Staff would note that property owners at both properties should consider some sort of access easement to the garage from the private driveway located at 1729 Oakwood. This will make a lot more sense when we see the next agenda item, which is Maha's 3rd subdivision. There are 2 alternative actions. One would be to not allow a reduced side yard setback, and the second would be to lessen the variance amount. There are 6 attachments. 1 is the variance application. 2 is the map showing the location of the property. 3 is the zoning map. 4 is the preliminary plat of Maha's 3rd edition. 5 is the site location map, and 6 are ground level photographs. Staff recommendation, the proposed new property line could be moved further to the south, but this would result in the owner at 1729 Oakwood to be having 2 garages rather than the 1, and the placement of this new property line is not a result of the irregular shape of the lot or ravine to the south. Now, the purpose of the proposed variance is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the use of this property, as it will continue, it will remain and continue to, it will allow residents to obtain a residential garage. The placement of the new property line does not change the essential character of the neighborhood, as the site will continue to be used for residential purposes. We do have 2 recommended conditions. One, that the variance approval is subject to the approval and recording of the final plat of Maha's 3rd edition with the Brown County Recorder's Office. And 2, that any expansion of the garages that would not meet property line setbacks shall require additional variances. That concludes the staff report.
I have a question. Did we not, was it last year or was it earlier this year, do a variance for Meinertz to put this garage up?
No,
Or was it a different
That was a
shed?
portable building.
That was a portable building?
Portable building.
Okay, because I
And-
got this and I thought,
And that had to do with the side yard setback
yeah.
on
and a
that one
ravi-
also.
In a ravine or something, okay.
That would double city building official. That'd be the shed that's on the, up in front there
Okay.
next to the house garage. What he came for was to set that shed back up against that back property line by that existing
Okay.
garage, but he chose to put it up towards the front.
Okay. Thank you.
Which actually resulted in him meeting the setbacks.
Okay.
Sure.
I thought I had just seen this and I was, okay.
So ultimately, he needs a little more space yet and storage, so trying to accommodate, and I guess I would treat the existing garage like a storage shed almost, because we've adopted, rear yard setbacks for a storage shed in the past. That's
Yeah,
my out loud,
yeah.
And if the staff talked to, or noted that both property owners would be having an access or an easement, is what you were stating, or for their property? Or is that how you were stating that?
No,
Or-
we were just saying that this is something that we'll bring to their attention.
Okay.
We can't mandate it. That's kind of,
Agreement then.
yeah.
Okay.
This has to do with how they decide to use their property. We think the people on Lot 1, probably would want a means of access to that building that would require them to go on the Lindholm property, but
Because of the shared driveway, or nothing.
Well, the driveway belongs
think the
entirely
driveway's
to the
shared.
Lindholms.
yeah.
Okay.
That's why the miners who own Lot 1 would need to probably secure an easement
Sure.
Okay.
to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions, concerns? It was really kind of hard to see the properties when you were, because they were set, Lindholm's is set, so I'm assuming it's Lindholm's set, Meinertz is in the front.
Yep.
Bird Street, yeah. Because it was very well landscaped and a beautiful property. Yeah. There's no questions. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the decreased setback amount to accommodate the new property line
With conditions?
with conditions. Thank you.
I'd second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That ends that. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a plat. Consider the approval of the preliminary plat of the Maha Third Edition staff report.
Okay, this is part 2 of this particular matter. In this case, the applicant is Jerry and Carol Minders. The property owners are both the Minders and the Lindholms. And the legal is Lot 1 and Lot 2, Block 1, Maha's second edition. I'm going to jump down to the status of utilities since everything else is the same as you heard with the previous request. Utilities, water, sanitary, sewer, natural gas and electrical is in Oakwood Avenue. Storm sewer is in Oakwood Avenue and in the ravine to the west. Comprehensive plan does not designate a park within the platted area. So we know this area consists of 2 existing lots. The property is flat on the north and east side and has steep hillside on the west and south side. Each lot has a single-family dwelling and attached garage, and then located on the existing lot 2 are those 2 detached sheds. Square footage amounts are provided for each shed. The owners of Lot 2 wish to sell shed number 1 to the owner of Lot 1. And that's what necessitates the movement of the property line, and that's what necessitates the platting of the property. The amount of property being transferred or sold is 3,222 square feet, and the approximate dimensions are 20 by 163 to 168. Current subdivision requirements and proposed dimensions would be as follows. So we have across the top the standards for lot area, lot width, and lot depth. And then we have what those actual amounts are for the new lot 1 and the new lot 2, and they easily meet those requirements. I would note that the lot depth for lot 1 is only 115 feet, but a variance was granted for that previously in 1992. So the lots otherwise comply with city code requirements. There are 4 attachments: the preliminary plat, a site location map, a zoning map, and a site map. Staff would recommend approval of the preliminary plat with conditions since it complies with city code requirements. The conditions are that they pay the platting fee of $210. It's a base fee of $150 and $30 per lot. Provide an electronic file of the plat in an AutoCAD 2016 or newer format. And then finally, that the owner will secure rear and side yard setback variances due to the proximity of the new property line to the 2 sheds. In addition to that, if you look at the plat, you will note that on the east side of the Lindholm property, there is an existing property line that goes through the side of the house. And this is acceptable because the Lindholms also own the property that is described as Lot 7, Block 5, Cokes, First Edition. Or at least they own the southernmost portion of that property. And it seems to me that this would be an opportune time to also take that parcel of property and combine it with this plat, so we don't have a situation where we have this lot line running through the middle of the house. And so, while I don't think we can mandate that they do this, I think that I would like to suggest to them that they take that course of action.
Do you want that in part of the conditions or stated that is?
I don't want it necessarily as a condition, but maybe that the planning commission
Recommend?
notes or recommends that that action be taken. Yes, please.
So noted.
And then the final part of the staff report, there's a motion to approve and a motion to deny.
Are there any questions for the city?
I think it's pretty detail-oriented and just trying to correct other issues for future down the line and
I think it's smart, though, that we recommend that they include that in the new plat. The charges would be minimal. Was it $30 for the additional?
No, well, I don't know if additional field work will be necessary or not on the part of the land surveyor, but so they're going to have to expand their drawing a little bit, and so there probably would be some nominal cost
All right,
to do that.
okay. No questions, then I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve with the conditions as well as the recommendation to them to combine those lots.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with conditions and a recommendation to include the change to Lot 7. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Status of revisions to the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Guess I should start out that I humbly report that there were no additional chapters completed and sent to the city attorney in July. I should note, though, that both Dave and I did take a week of vacation in July on different weeks.
We both had a good time.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I'm glad to hear that.
Not together.
We do have a number of items that are in process. Staff is making the necessary modifications to Chapter 2, the application and review procedures, and once we've completed our revisions, the chapter will be sent to the city attorney for review. I should note that Chapter 2 is fairly involved, and it involves all the procedures that basically you guys are taking action on all the time, so the Planning Commission, and all the other commissions that we deal with here as far as zoning goes. So it does take substantial time, but we're getting close. Should note that there are a number of depictions that are going to be completed by an outside party, and we have selected that firm to work with, but we have to complete the review of those specific chapters and make all the decisions on all the rules that we're going to be using in those chapters before we can send those depictions off to be completed by that third party. So we have to work on chapters 4, 5, and 6, which will be the residential zoning districts, the commercial, and then the industrial, which all have depictions in them before those get sent off to that contractor. Staff has researched setbacks for and yards and other specific site regulations from 5 different communities in Minnesota, whom we've been referencing throughout this zoning update. And this research was conducted for the proposed Chapter 4 residential zoning districts, Chapter 5 commercial zoning districts, and Chapter 6 industrial zoning districts. So we were just researching those different communities to make sure that what we're proposing for setbacks and yard regulations aren't way out of line. Yet at the same time, we have to look at what our current code is and make sure we're not varying too greatly from that. So the intended items we propose to complete by the end of the next month is complete our review and send to the city attorney Chapter 2, the application and review procedures, Chapter 3, zoning districts, and then Chapter 4, residential zoning districts. And it might only be a portion of Chapter 4 because that's going to be pretty involved. And that would include my report of the zoning ordinance update.
Thank you. City report, city council decisions concerning planning commission.
Okay, at the City Council's July 6th meeting, they unanimously approved the request of Margaret Manderfelt to allow the construction of a 10 by 12 garden shed 2 feet from the rear property line at her residence. They unanimously approved the request of Mike Kroll on behalf of Tim Conroy to allow the construction of a garage 5 feet from the side property line, and that was on North Highland Avenue. The Manderfeld request was on First North Street. With one abstention, they unanimously approved the request of the city to allow additional signage of 185 square feet on the exterior of the recreation center. And they maxed out the signage at 302 square feet. And that's with the understanding that the Vogel Arena sign would be painted over.
That's the north side.
That's on the north side of the
Thank you.
building. And then on a different matter, they approved the request of MLC to provide wayfinding signage for the field house on Betker Road. At the July 20th meeting, they conducted a public hearing on the final plat of Maha's 4th edition and then approved the plat. That would conclude the report.
Okay, there was no Heritage Commission report or Heritage Preservation report, so does anyone else have any business to come before the meeting? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.